When you reach the Forbidden Planet, you explore all the wonders of a vanished civilization.
You are now in forbidden space.
Shh! Those words are forbidden!
Welcome to Forbidden Planet. I'm Blake.
I'm Kristen.
And that was our new intro. We finally got one.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, you know what? It was a collaborative effort. And,
it really was.
That was kind of nice.
Yeah. It took me back to my songwriting days. Like, I don't know, I love composing music, and it was...
I wish we could compose, like, the little bit of music we have in there is kind of tweaked and warped from something else.
Right.
It's royalty-free, but I kind of wish we could make our own little...
But, you know,
theme.
okay,
Eventually,
so, yes, that would be nice. We are very busy
you
people,
play the
though.
piano.
Yeah, but we are very busy people, and just doing that, just what we did, that 10-second clip, took a lot of fucking brain power.
And I'm gonna admit that I'm not necessarily used to doing stuff like that with another person,
right?
And so, like, collaborating, it took me some
you
some
were
finagling. It was like what it was I had in my mind what I wanted it to be, and you had it in your mind what you wanted it to be,
right?
And I had issues like integrating them, but it came out great, and all the little
absolutely
the things that you said worked great, and
it's all about the little details. I don't know, it is good.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I like it a lot.
So, we have a lot of new listeners, apparently. That's from what the stats are saying. We have a lot of new listeners. So, for the people, this is going to be kind of a reboot, not so much like a new starting point for our podcast. And some of the info, if you're not familiar with the podcast, whether you get this from Spreaker, which is a Facebook thing, or maybe from iTunes, which we've always been on, or even our podcast host has been Podomatic.com, and they only host, like, I think 6 of our podcasts at a time, just because of space.
Yeah.
I'm gonna end up buying some hosting space eventually.
Sure.
But until then, they've only got like our last 6 podcasts, and some of those,
which
are
is
even
fine because
hits,
we've been perfecting this thing for.
And when the store opens, which is the whole point of this podcast, I'm sure we'll get more of an audience, and there will be more of a demand.
Definitely.
Plus, some of those beginning ones, not that great. They're just kind of.
Well, again, it's all working. It's like a first season of a TV show.
Yeah.
You know, the acting's off and a
Except
little bit.
Except for the actors are us, and they're better than anything. They're awesome. Anyways, our contact info, we are Forbidden Plan 8, the number 8. So Forbidden Plan, and then the number 8 at Twitter. We are Forbidden Planet Comics and more spelled MOAR on Facebook. So that's our Facebook page. That's where we want the majority of our traffic to go.
Yes.
Eventually, I don't know. I've kind of been up in the air about whether we should do an actual website now.
Yeah, I think
see.
we should eventually have one, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, but until then, likes, man. We want those likes. It's great having those likes, and occasionally we lose one, which is really. I don't know why. It hurts me in my soul for some reason. We do have email as well, forbiddenplanetcomics@gmail.com. That has been our email forever, and I've never given it on the podcast. Don't know why. But any comments, information you want to send us without going to the Facebook page for whatever reason, go to forbiddenplanetcomics@gmail.com. And that's where we are on the emails. And again, we're available on Spreaker, iTunes. Just search Forbidden Planet Podcast will come up.
Yes.
Yeah, and iTunes is really the main spot where you can get us, as well as Spreaker, which is kind of new.
But thanks for all the new listens, and
yeah,
hopefully you're at least getting entertained by this shit.
Yep. And I'm trying to come up with more like not necessarily structure, but kind of keep it in line. Sometimes we get a little crazy. We don't necessarily give.
Well,
a whole
again,
lot
it's
of,
all that adjusting period, and
it's a conversational podcast, so it's like you want to hear us have conversations. That's fine. You wanted to get your news. You can get your news anywhere. You want to hear us regurgitate it in a interesting and
put our opinion on it.
Yeah, put our opinion on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the logistics out of the way. We just saw. Well, I should say on Sunday we saw Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
Little side note. I've always been a fan of the Planet of the Apes movies, Charlton Heston ones and such, but I didn't originally see Rise of the Planet of the Apes in the theater just because I don't know, I didn't give it much thought, and so I ended up seeing it like a really bad copy of it. And as it's happened with a few movies...
You know what? That's how I saw it, too, was I got a bad copy of it.
Because you're like, oh, it's Rise of the Planet of the Apes. That title alone kind of just... Yeah. That's an entry barrier. Close it up. But then I saw it, and I'm like, holy crap, this movie's awesome. And I enjoyed the hell out of it. And then I went out and I saw it. I think I rented it. They had John Lithgow, James Franco. There was one of the main female leads was actually a big actor as well. And Andy Serkis. Mm-hmm. Gollum.
I did like Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
It was a great movie, and I did not expect it. I didn't expect it to have the kind of emotional resonance that it had.
The depth.
I tried to spread the news. I remember one particular friend was like posting like, what should I go see, or what should I see, what should I see, and I said, it's this, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. It's a really great movie, and probably one of the reasons why I don't talk to him now actually is that he went off on me like, I don't want to see any goddamn CGI monkeys, that's stupid. I want to see a real movie. And I'm like, just because it uses CGI instead of fake suits, why are you going to write it off?
Well,
and I
it's
said
just
that
like
much.
how my brother refused to see, when we went to go see, which one did we go take him to see? Captain America.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we saw that in 3D, but that was the first 3D fucking movie he had seen since Avatar. Do you know how much 3D has progressed since then?
Yeah.
And that's what he said. He's like, God, that was really great. We saw Avatar in 3D, and I didn't like it. But, so he put that generalization on everything. And it's like, okay, CGI monkeys, I can understand where you're coming from to a point. But
everything's
again,
CG now.
Everything is CG, and it has really improved and progressed.
Oh, my God.
And
Dawn, not to skip ahead, but, they looked like they were there. It was nuts. Like the Maurice, the big orangutan-looking guy, I think it was orangutan. I could never tell he was I knew he was CG, but Jesus, he was there. It was crazy. He was solid. That character in particular, every time he showed up, it was just he was there.
Yeah.
We also, I kind of didn't even think about it, but we saw that in 3D. Before we get into the actual story, what did you think of the 3D?
Oh gosh, it really goes into how I thought about the whole movie, really.
Okay,
because I thought the 3D was great, but really, so the movie in general, I thought was good. I did not think it was great. Mm-hmm. Okay, it was definitely a build up to obviously a third movie. Hopefully, a more action packed or more in line to the original story. Third movie. The original movie, Planet of the Apes, and from, 72. But a little slow moving, I like how they portrayed the society that the apes had built, the teacher, and, each ape had their role, each monkey had their role, etc. And I liked how Koba, how they wrote his character, how he evolved throughout the story.
That was crazy, I never hated a fake character so much in my life.
Yeah. Just so...
It was great.
Yeah.
It was... The parallel between him and the human beings was so,
Yeah.
Apes can be assholes, too.
Exactly. So, even though you could kind of see where his character was progressing, I still liked his character a lot, because it was different, it was. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, I did feel myself getting annoyed with how set up and cliche the story actually was. I mean, you had your typical villain who, of course, wants to kill all the monkeys, and then he fucks it up for everybody.
And then you got the typical ape who wants to kill all the humans.
Yeah, but see, that's not even what I'm talking about. And the monkey characters, they were a little cliche, but they were monkeys. You don't really see monkeys doing this every day. Apes, sorry. But then you also, in the same, on the human side of things, you also had the quote-unquote, not really a villain, but the guy who's like, we need to get this at all costs. I don't care how it is. So, of course, he sets up the whole armory thing, and that fucks it up for everyone.
You know what actually threw me off about Gary Oldman's character? Because I was set up to not like him, right? Because he was solely against the apes from the outset.
Right.
But, like, he actually wasn't, if you think about it, because he gave them the chance. I'll give you 3 days or whatever to go up there and figure it out.
Yeah.
He didn't. Now, mind you, he was preparing, for the worst, which is okay. That's what a leader should do.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, after that, he was given no real choice. He never sent an attack or anything like that.
No, he didn't, which you did expect. That was something that didn't happen that you thought was probably...
His character was really relatable in terms... He lost his whole family.
Right.
And he was sitting there, and you saw that he was he was a broken man. He was just doing what he could for his people.
Exactly. And he was doing an okay job. He really was.
Really, from the middle of the movie on, though, his character is not so much... he's not even there, really, is he? Oh, except for the... I've got this huge bomb that doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so many things. I didn't think that the story was pieced together as good as it could have been,
Yeah, it was very
really choppy.
Reactionary.
Yeah, very choppy. The human family, so boringly characteristic of every, what you would expect in something like this. I mean, you had this son who, he did have his art thing. He really didn't play a major part in it, except for the fact
more as a chess piece, like he's in danger, gotta go do something about that,
right? And also to bring that relationship between the apes and the humans together, because he had that thing with the teacher, the orangutan teacher, which I thought was beautiful. I wanted to see more of that, and they didn't. It cut off right when the apes got into the city. Like, it never evolved, and that's something that I really did want to see. So that was a kind of disappointing.
In terms of that, I had it was really like the main character's son was kind of mirroring Caesar's son,
right?
Not in terms of Caesar's son. He actually had a crazy character arc. Like the apes in general were written better than the humans.
Oh my god, yes, I was just going to say that.
You just kind of said that anyway, but
no, because obviously it was a mirrored perception. But it's like the apes were so much more organized. They had their
more
leader,
emotion, which is funny considering they were essentially not there.
They had their leader that they respected. Like if he said shut the fuck up, everybody shut up. Yeah. Whereas on the human side, Gary Oldman's character, like, trying to calm everybody down. Typical Americans, like, what about this? Let's go kill the apes automatically. He didn't have the control of his people that the
It's kind of like
did.
how it really is, though, because there's always there's several alpha males, in any given human situation. Always one who's like, I want to be, I'm the biggest, baddest. And then in the animal kingdom, there is one alpha. There might be a challenger, but really it's like, you just slap them down and be like, no.
Yeah.
And then,
But I liked how it showed them having free will. The apes did have free will, and they were learning, and they were very smart. But the society worked because they understood where they were. They were not treated differently. There was no separation of classes in the society.
Yeah, it was all kind of democratic,
but they each had their job.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like Caesar was the president.
Yeah.
And except for he listened to his underlings.
Right, exactly. He treated them with respect, and
as opposed to the American
and showed
government.
mercy, and yeah, exactly. And the opposite obviously is the human side of things. But yeah, I thought it was a beautiful movie. I loved just how they made the city, everything was gorgeous about it.
The film visually, like, it was perfect visually.
Seeing apes on horses just put knots in my stomach. I thought that was so awesome.
That was awesome seeing that, especially like Koba comes through the fire and like I knew it was going to happen too. I was watching, and the whole battle sequence was just nuts how they filmed it.
Yeah,
there's a part where there's a big APC tank, and the apes gain control of it, but the camera stays on the turret.
Yes.
And because the thing goes out of control after they take out the human, and the camera just spins around, and it's just giving you this 360-degree view of this whole amazing battle scene.
Yeah.
And it was crazy.
That was good.
But yeah, in terms of the story, it seemed like they needed to get from here to there.
Yeah.
And how they got there was like, well, we don't have enough time, so let's jump a few stairs.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that was a little. I was just watching it. Like, I would have liked to see. That's the first 3D movie we've been to in a little while. Yeah. I would have liked to see more awesomeness from the 3D.
It was definitely kind. It was
more subdued. Than,
what I thought was interesting was it wasn't necessarily subdued, but you kind of like melt into the story, and you're watching the movie, and it's there, and it's just they don't do the 80s like we're gonna shove a knife into the camera, like we're gonna
that's how the trailers were. That's what was like. I loved the fucking trailers in 3D. That was a big highlight for me. Man,
the best trailer there was still Guardians of the Galaxy, but a new one we saw was Hercules.
Yes, that looked that in 3D was amazing.
Yeah, they did all sorts of the old 80s tricks of like, we're going to juggle in front of the camera, we're going to throw things at the camera, it's just going to go past you.
Things are going to explode.
Yeah, even the audience was kind of like, whoa, that's neat.
Yeah. No, I like that.
I still enjoy, like, I don't want to see every movie in 3D, but there are certain movies I want to see in 3D.
I wanted to cater to you this time, so I got... Well, I didn't really cater to you. I really just got the tickets that had the best seats available.
That's true.
And it happened to be that one in 3D.
Well, I wanted to see the film anyway, and that was kind of like your
I thought, all in all, like, the message of the movie was good, and...
Personally, I liked that it wasn't all balls to the walls action. I liked some of
you're right.
The quieter character moments.
That's the problem that I have with it. Is like I love seeing buildup of characters. I love it. I want to get involved with the characters, and I want to laugh with them and cry with them. And they could have done that in this movie, and they just didn't. Like, I didn't. It's a movie where I would have wanted to cry, but I didn't. Like, you could have so easily.
I can't remember at what point there was a little bit of emotion here and there, but it really wasn't.
Yeah, they could have done that with this movie. They could have put the whole universe, of the monkeys and the humans, and there should have been a lot more emotion than there was, and there just wasn't, and that's the problem I have with it.
It's kind of the evolution of like people are still getting used to relating to CGI characters,
right?
And so it's like, I think on the one hand they're like, well, some people will get it, some people will come in and they'll get it and they'll relate, and like you watch the beginning of the film, and it's kind of like because there are no humans in the beginning of the
but then you have a movie like Iron Giant, where I bawl like a baby every time I fucking watch it.
People
it's a cartoon.
Go to Iron Giant to see an animated film. People go to a movie, or like a live action film, to see that. But then there's still those people, like my ex-friend, who are like, I don't want to see animated fucking monkeys. Yeah. And it's like, well, dude, just have an open mind. Go in.
Those people are just stupid.
Like I said, the characters of the apes were like better than the humans, and their emotion on their face, it was nuts.
You had Roger Rabbit. That was one of you had all those types of movies that did a much better job of putting an emotional aspect on things. But again, all in all, I thought the movie itself, the message in general, was very good, and like the original, it put a very introspective look at like the separation of races and classes,
it's all about racism
and things like that,
end,
right?
What I always go back to thinking, and I know this is kind of a cop out, because some movies you go in and you see and you walk out and you really like the movie because it was way better than you thought it was going to be. So it's like you set your expectations low, and then it like anything that goes above that is like, oh hey, that was a good movie, and you're like surprised about it, and so it's like.
The trailers for this movie
were
set
excellent.
my expectations really high.
And the reviews honestly set my expectations extra high.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say that you
it.
go into this movie having low expectations and it's good. And you're like, wow, it's not one of those
just
movies.
completely
It's a
understand
good
that it
film.
is setting it up for the actual,
which I'm glad about.
Which I'm glad
came
about
out
too.
and they were like, oh wow, it's a surprise hit. It wasn't a surprise hit at the time. They put money into it, but at the last second, there it seemed like there was some trepidation about it. And then when it did well, they're like, oh okay, and they started the sequel.
They probably started just rushing to get something together.
There was actually some hubbub. The original director for the films, or for Rise of the Planet of the Apes, was on the sequel for a few months. They were actually developing it, and then all of a sudden, he got cut, and the writers got cut.
Oh, shit.
And 20th Century Fox changed up the whole hierarchy.
Oh, Fox, of course.
And so everybody was like, oh, well, that's not a good sign. That's what made the first one so good.
Well, it's not.
They
it's
brought
just
it
the
in,
whole Ant-Man thing.
and they did it well. And so everybody's like, oh, good. That means... I hope, I always hold out hope for sequels.
Yeah.
Even the movies that aren't
they could go a lot of different ways with the next movie. But I did just watch the first Planet of the Apes last night for the first time in ages and ages and ages and ages and ages. But I loved it, and I thought it holds up. The story is so fucking good, and everything about it is good. And they really could. I mean, I really hope that they either go in that direction or something having to do with post-war. Whatever it is.
See, that was
post-war, kind of like apocalyptic in a way, but I don't know.
It's already apocalyptic now. We were talking about it the other day after the movie, actually, and my idea was that you don't even they end the film. I don't want to go into too many spoilers, but they end the film open, but pretty much prepare for all out war.
Yeah.
Now the next movie, because we saw that battle, and it was gut wrenching. It was visceral. It was good, but it was still on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
Now what should I say? The evolution of that would be let's show an even bigger war and
I was going to ask you,
have a massive scale. I'm like, well, what are they going to bring in? Tanks and fucking helicopters? And it's no. What I think this next one should be, and I'm going to say exactly what I said. They just show a huge battle drawn on cave walls,
right?
And they go through it during the credits, essentially. So they go through all this history on the credits using cave wall drawings, and then at the end just show an ape on a horse with his spear or a gun or something in the air, and because they win, and then start it after all that.
You know how so they had the human cave in the original Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Okay, they could show those drawings, and then you find out that was actually the human cave. They don't necessarily say who drew it.
Who drew it? Yeah.
Right, exactly.
See, that's...
See, and I could go with that. I could go that way. It's we talked about after we saw the movie, them telling a story, somebody telling a story, and you don't know who it is that's telling the story.
Your idea was that there was a narrator, and that they kind of tell the story of the whole film, right? And at the end, you find out that basically they're living it together.
Well, yeah, but now that I think about it, I don't know if I'd actually want to see that. I think in the end, but I want to see a lot more movies like this. I want to see the story
that's
keep
the problem
going.
With them living in harmony at the end of the third movie.
Yeah, it'd have to be a lot like the original, where.
That's why what my idea was that.
What did you say?
Skip over the whole war, because it's death, dismemberment, horribleness. Yes, in the end, you skip over that, because honestly, that's visually interesting, but it's the least interesting to see. To see it, and I actually have an interesting detail about that. But and then start it from the point to where the humans are decimated. The apes are ruled. It's the planet of the apes, right? And then you see the redemption of both societies come together, and whatever, you can have it be open ended after that, but still, it's like this whole new world that we don't know what's going to happen. Like we don't know what's going on, and it leaves it completely like new territory as opposed to like this is the war between the two, and then at the end of that one, we're going to see. It's just gonna. Yeah,
I almost wonder if that's what this one should have been. Is like that whole war, like taking us. They could see that would have been better. You know how they tried to rush everything in this movie. They could have in that like if they would have done a narration type of movie to where it brought us to the end of what the third movie would have started. Let's say it does start out like Planet of the Apes originally did. Or is, where, they're capturing the humans and, whatever. They're just treating them like we would treat monkeys, basically. That's almost what the second movie should have been, is just that whole narration plot. And then it comes down to the end and you see the monkey standing there, or whatever. I don't know. Or like Blue Eyes as an older man, like telling the story to his grandkids or something. Yeah. I don't know. Something like that would have been better.
Because you start... in the prequel, the films progress. There's a time travel there's a time travel plot point within the original films. Yes. It starts with Planet of the Apes. The thing you lose in these new movies, because I don't know if they were trying to stay more grounded or whatever, but you lose the surprise it's Earth bit. Right. And surprise spoilers on a fucking 50-year-old movie. But yeah, you lose. You can't use that as a plot point. Yeah. And so, and they start at the beginning, which is good because you see how it's all progressing and it's all going forward, which is really cool. Yeah. But you lose that whole aspect, so they can't use that bit where you think you're on an alien world and you find out you're on Earth and the apes are really, and then you find out later on.
Or you could have it like that. You could have it like that. I mean, obviously the audience would know. But you could have it to where, like, the main human character in the next movie doesn't know that it's Earth. Like, they don't,
Or, I mean, anybody born after this point, they won't... What is Earth? Yeah. This is Earth anyway. It's ruled by apes.
Yeah. It's like RoboCop. What's RoboCop? Wow, that looks good.
Oh, don't even get me started on the remakes and reboots to a generation that has no idea what a good film is.
Oh, speaking of reboots, I actually have some... Oh, sorry.
IGN, to go on your point... They posted an article talking about the original ending that Matt Reeves, the director, and Andy Serkis, they were talking about how it originally had ended, and it wasn't terribly different, but it was more in line with what you're talking about. Okay. It says in an interview with Slash Film, Reeves explained what was different about the ending was that after the ending that you see in the final film, the idea was that the apes went out on a kind of exodus through the city, and they gathered on the Golden Gate Bridge in order to look into the distance for the approaching warships. And I felt that it was taking us too far into the next movie, and almost starting the next movie and not letting the emotion of what had just happened, of what Caesar had just achieved, and what price Caesar had paid. It wasn't letting that resonate, and it wasn't ending. But the final shot was actually, in a way, the very same final shot it was actually on him on top of the Golden Gate Bridge, which was covered in apes all looking out way, way into the distance to see this really, messed up armada.
Yeah. I actually did really like the very final scene with all of the monkeys there with him. I liked it, and they had their hands held up like, forgive us, we fucked up.
Did you notice? I didn't think about it until... earlier today, actually. The movie ended exactly how it started. Because it started with them in the trees just before they went hunting on his eyes. Super close up on his eyes. And it pulled out to reveal. Okay. And the ending pulled in on his eyes and then faded. Yeah. And I thought that was a really interesting way to bookend the film. Because it started... And that was the first shot that they ever showed in a teaser. This is the first thing we ever saw of the movie.
Yeah, true.
Was that shot of him in the tree.
Yeah, it's very artistic. I like it.
He had his family, and it was definitely going for an epic
I really like the ape storyline. It's good. It's good.
All right, so that's what we saw this weekend. What were you talking about? You said you wanted to talk about a remake reboot thing?
Another talking about remakes, reboots. Rainbow Bright is coming back to television.
You know what? I heard a little bit about that a while ago. Are they still going?
They're doing it. I mean, just like they're doing they've done many, many remakes of our beloved childhood cartoons. And I wish I could
Sailor Moon was the most recent, actually.
Well, there's Sailor Moon. There's what's her face? Jim. Yeah, they do it all the time. They've done it with Pound Puppies and.
Well, how is Rainbow? Have you seen anything about it? How is it gonna differ?
I haven't seen about what it's just they just announced it. So it's like, okay, fine. I want to get more excited about it.
But again, it could end up like crap.
It could end up like crap, like the Strawberry Shortcake and the Care Bears cartoons and all those. They're just shit. But on the other hand,
there's My Little Pony.
You have My Little Pony. You have the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is really good.
The point being that those shows treat the audience, their target audience, which is children.
Right. It all depends on the writers.
Not stupid.
It all depends on the writers and the animators.
Kids will get it if you let them.
Yeah.
Surprise.
It's like, I just hope it doesn't turn into one of those those totally ugly animations, like the
they like to use that really cheap CG shit now.
I fucking hate that, man. Just don't treat your audience.
Something else that bothers me about all these remakes, reboots, whatever of these cartoons is that they bring them out, and because they don't make gangbuster numbers, which who has cable nowadays that's connected to Nielsen ratings, because they don't make gangbuster ratings, they're like, oh, we're gonna cancel it after a season or even half a season. And it's like, you don't give it a chance, Cartoons went on for, decades back in the day, and now it's like you get one season of good TV, and they're like, oh, well, the toys didn't sell as well as we wanted to.
Well, maybe because you make them retarded.
And the toys are bad. Yeah, they're terrible.
Yeah. Like the whole Transformers toys, they're too complicated for kids. So man. Fuck you. You know what? They released these one-step Transformers toys in relation to the new movie. Yeah.
And it maybe, I blame it on Michael Bay, because the new movie, it's a flash, bang, whiz, that's it. It's empty. Yeah. And then you get the toys, and it's like, oh, I'm too lazy to figure out how to transform it, so let's press a button, and boop, it's a robot that can't move its legs.
Yeah, exactly. I going back to movies and stuff and action, I know we were talking about cartoons, but I read this this really funny little article about how it says America is no longer the superpower of action. And so I'm like, that's interesting, because they had what I thought looked like a picture of what's that one movie that you love so, Old Boy, okay? Yeah. So anyway, I'm reading, and it's like, every fucking big blockbuster action movie now is the same shit over and over and over again. It's the same. And then they say, and then we saw Snowpiercer. And they're they're like, that's it. All of the American actors who want to be in an action movie just need to go work for Asian directors, and that will be that.
Well, what's funny is that, because Korea is the place to get your action films now. You've got The Raid 2, The Raid before that, and there's a shit ton of great action movies coming out of that part of the world, and also out of Mexico, oddly enough. And they're starting to emulate it in American cinema to some degree. Snowpiercer, which we actually talk about on the bonus podcast a little bit, is just Pak, I can't remember his name. The director is an Asian director, or he's a Korean director, who adapted a French graphic novel with American actors. Yeah. It's a truly international film. Yeah. And the convoluted story behind that movie's release is it's ridiculous, because the studio that was distributing the film, that bought the rights to this film, had no faith in it whatsoever. And I'm not going to go into that right now. But then, above all odds, the movie is doing great numbers. It's like people... It goes to show that you put out something that's not generic, something that's that's quality
Yep.
and has soul to it.
Yep.
And it will do well if you
Yep.
let people see it.
Absolutely.
And the movie was fun. And so the article said, and then we saw Snowpiercer.
Yeah, and that was basic. It was just like a 2-paragraph article.
okay,
Like,
yeah.
you know,
So it's trying to
saying
get
how
the
like
point. Yeah.
American action movies suck, but then we saw Snowpiercer and we're like, yes, okay, this is how it should be done from now on.
It's about time. Yeah, the movie
yeah.
had so much soul. So, like every scene was
Great
filled
actors.
with something interesting.
Yeah, and you could even tell like the actors were just happy to be acting in that film
Yeah.
because it just had all of it had the quirkiness of the characters that the Hunger Games have, but it wasn't by no means was it the same story, and just oh my god,
It just made and it's funny because the whole
So
setting of the movie is within a train, right?
Right.
And you think, well, that could. I mean, movies with entire worlds have been boring. Mm-hmm. Well, the train, this train, which isn't necessarily tiny, but I mean, everything's within
Right.
a single train car at any given time.
Right.
That train was a fucking character.
Yes.
That it was a world.
Yeah.
And they built so much into this world, and maybe that's a testament to the graphic novel. I have not read it. I mean to, but it has the train itself
Yeah.
is this crazy character,
well,
and then
it's
they
like
put
it
good
was like
actors on
levels
top
of a
of it.
video game. Each car
Exactly.
had its own personality and it had its own
Exactly.
purpose.
I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, and so it's like you just go from different level to different level, and until
then
you get to the big
action
boss.
scenes. There were two. Well, there was a bunch of action scenes,
God,
but there were
but
two very
oh.
standout action scenes
amazing.
within the movie. One of which used one of my favorite tropes. I had it in the little fan comic that I did, where they basically it goes pitch black, and then you get flashes of light here and there, and you see that oh man,
it's just
so
gut
good.
wrenching though. It's gut wrenching because amazing. It was an amazing scene. And there was more emotion in that one single scene than there was in the entire Dawn of the Planet of the Apes movie. But yeah, no, because it was like you had...
Oh, and there's something else that movie
you had the guys with the night vision because they
Disgust.
could see. Yeah.
There were scenes in that movie where I just felt not grossed out sick, but just the thought of some of the things that the characters in that movie stooped to.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh God,
Yeah.
no way.
Well, see, and I looked at it as, and I had the same feelings, and mainly because it's like, that's really how society works now. It's, you have extremely ridiculous fucking douchebag people. And that's how the whole system works. And it's the separation of the classes. And it's exactly.
That was like a microcosm of what society is nowadays.
Yeah.
The top gets it all,
Yep.
and it trickles down until there's nothing at the bottom.
Yep.
And I don't want to get too political with that analogy, but that's how it went.
Yeah.
I added the movie, actually. I'm glad you brought this up. I added the movie to my kind of like short list. It's like right under like Cabin in the Woods and some other films.
Right.
Where people either don't know about them or dismiss them outright because of maybe they hear one line about the film.
Yep.
And then they see them. I those two movies.
You actually get them to watch them.
I kind of forced on some of our friends, and they watch them, and they go, "Holy shit!"
Well, it's just like getting somebody to watch Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Like, you can talk till you're blue in the face
They're
about
like, "Oh,
how
that's
great
a
it
kid's
is."
show, or that looks lame.
They just
or the
laugh it
effects
off
look
like,
stupid."
aha,
Yeah.
whatever. But then once somebody does actually watch it, like Travis, who like never watched
We need
it
to get him on
before,
the podcast one day.
maybe, yeah, we'll see if he ever comes along. But like it's like that feeling, that fangirl feeling, or that fanboy feeling, where you're like, yay, you finally get it.
It's the whole thing. And, it's funny. I read a book with that whole idea in it, but it's like taking something that you love and putting it out there, and like finding out that not only do the other people love it, but you're right to expose.
Yeah.
It's.
And we're all guilty of like dismissing things, and maybe not being as interested, but. Yeah, no.
Sorry, but the Real Housewives of whatever will never be good. I don't care how many people watch it.
Anybody whose passion is that show is no friend of mine.
That was another film, Snowpiercer, that I, along with Cabin in the Woods, actually, and then Rise of the Planet of the Apes, that I saw through means where I didn't have to pay for it, and was like, wow, that is so good. Please take my money.
Yes.
And it might have to wait, but like with Rise of the Planet of the Apes, I rented that.
Yep.
After I saw the bad copy.
Right.
Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
I went out and bought the Blu-ray.
Yes. Smartest purchase.
Oh god,
ever.
the Blu-ray's so good, all the special features. And then with Snowpiercer, just oddly enough, it popped up that it was going to be on demand like 3 days later. It was you can not only see it in the theater, which would be a great experience, but you can also rent it.
But it was only in a few select theaters anyway.
But they were expanding.
Yeah.
But I was going to have a movie night with Brian.
Right.
And I was like, well, shit, I want to pay for this movie. So I rented it in HD off the PlayStation Network, actually, which I don't think I've ever done. But I rented it off that and, I showed it to... my friends, and it was totally worth it. It was totally worth the money.
Another one that Brian loved, like Cabin in the Woods. We showed him first, and he's like, "I didn't know this movie was so
they
good."
dismiss it at first. And they go, "Oh, I don't know. I
At
want to
least
watch."
they're trusting our opinions on movies.
Yeah, I think now at this point, it's like hard for them to deny.
Yeah, we have good taste in movies.
Yeah, I mean, there are always movies that I love that I know are kind of niche or won't necessarily take with the general audience. RoboCop. I have this huge love of RoboCop. It's definitely not for everybody. I think it's a good film, and I will force that one down people's throats regardless. But then there's other films like Dread, Vanilla Sky, stuff like that I don't necessarily think everybody will love. But there are movies like Cabin in the Woods, like Snowpiercer, that I think will resonate with everybody as long as they give it a chance. And so I was glad.
Open your mind a little bit.
Yeah, I was glad to give them my money, honestly.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, there's so much out there. There's so many good things, and sometimes you have to search for them. But man, once you find them, you'll never want to watch maybe you will want to watch a huge blockbuster again or whatever, but you're going to appreciate the little things because they have way better messages.
You just got to keep your mind open because, I'm an admitted sci-fi horror nerd, but I will enjoy anything if it's good. Music-wise, I will enjoy anything if it's good. Yeah. So, I had something I was suggested to read on Goodreads by somebody I'm connected to on there. Heather Labash, you don't listen to this, but hey, thanks. A book called Ready Player One, and
which I can't wait to read.
Oh man, I started it. Like, there's some books that I start and I go, okay, I'll finish this eventually. Well, that one, which I'll have to admit that I listen to a lot of audiobooks because I work. I'm always moving when I'm working, and I like to listen to stuff because it's loud in my work. So I listen to a lot of podcasts, a lot of audiobooks lately, and I listened to Will Wheaton, his rendition of Ready Player One, and I had some trepidation on how much I would enjoy just listening to him talk for a while because now he's an awesome guy, and I love all the things he loves, but sometimes. Maybe it's just his character, but in some things. But he likes to play the douchey superior nerd.
Yeah, and he's not the best actor in the world either.
Yeah. Well, his reading of Ready Player One was fantastic.
Yay for Will Wheaton, because I do love him.
Book itself, I'm not going to reveal any spoilers, really.
Yeah.
Because I want you to read it, and I want other people to read it. And the book is fantastic. But it's filled with... even slavishly filled with 80s references and
awesome. Music,
games, especially
just nostalgia.
Nostalgia is just throughout the whole thing.
Yay.
The premise of the book is that in the year like 2025, the world has run out of fuel, and so it's all kind of collapsed into itself.
Yeah.
Everybody moves into the center of cities because everything needs to be close again.
Right.
Many people live in trailer parks, and over time, trailer parks have become entirely too full. So they start building levels of trailers on rickety rickety things that keep, like 50 trailers in the sky.
Yeah.
And they become slums. They become like awful crime-ridden slums. Now, the way people, most people they don't work because there's no jobs. So they live off of food rations and such. Government food rations. Now, the whole thing that keeps people from just offing themselves, basically, is this video game that had been introduced like 10 years prior called The Oasis.
Okay.
Now, The Oasis is, this book was written in 2011, so a lot of things have actually happened since then that kind of mirror this in real life. But The Oasis is this new. It's not even a video game itself. It's basically a system that uses a head-mounted display.
Okay.
That and all this is actual.
Like
is
a
that an
virtual
actual
reality
thing?
type of
Like
thing?
now, it's just this
Like
is
the
years.
Oculus Rift.
Yeah, like exactly like the Oculus Rift. Only and this is a real thing too. It will actually beam using like laser displays into your eyes.
Okay.
And that's a real thing too, as scary as it sounds. And using like depending on how much money you have, you can get entire suits with haptic feedback, which is that when it makes it feel like like when you touch your phone and you're
like
typing
it's virtual reality, but you're actually
you can when you touch your phone and it vibrates to make it feel like you're touching something.
Or
That's
if you
haptic
brush against
feedback.
a tree limb, it
So
feels
this is just the evolution of technology. Now,
Right.
like, people of different levels just immerse themselves in this game to establish, or not to establish, but to escape like current reality. And
Or
people make
to establish
there are people that live their entire lives.
Yeah.
We're introduced to this kid named Wade, and he's called Percival inside the game.
Okay.
And he.
Is he actually in the game? He's like...
Well, he plays the game. Like he uses it to. It's his whole life.
Okay.
From as a child, everybody goes to school within the Oasis.
Okay.
Using this technology, and instead of going someplace, they go into the game and they have school, and then after that, you depending on how much money you have for like DLC and such, you can get to other planets and play the game.
Interesting.
Now, the creator of this game dies.
Okay.
And in his will, which is a video,
Within
video will,
the Oasis,
he leaves. He's like, all right, so my billions and billions of dollars. Like I don't even think it was billions. It was a number above that.
Yeah.
Trillions, whatever. I'm going to leave that to whoever finds it in the game. And so he leaves certain clues, and he goes, okay, so whoever finds this in this basically infinite universe of the game, we'll get everything. They will get everything. And so it creates this whole new subculture of people called Gunthers.
Oh my god, I can picture the movie in my head already.
And there's this, for 5 years, there's this huge, just hundreds of thousands of people searching for this treasure within the game, picking apart every little thing of what they know about the creator. Hence all the 80s references, because he grew up in the 80s. And nobody can find it. Well, finally, Percival and a few others start, they get to the first dungeon and they discover the first key. And then after that, it's like a race. And they're racing this actual company that was created, that they want to monetize the Oasis. They want to make sure that people have to pay them in order to get into it, because Oasis as a game is free. Yeah, as long as you have a headset. As long as you have a headset, you can get in there. It's like Google.
It's like the evil side of free to play.
And so but they have hundreds, like 1,000 people full time who are paid to go and do this, as opposed to the people who
reminds me of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the rich girl who
and they're all racing for the golden ticket, which the golden ticket is like infinite wealth.
Yeah.
And so it's just a race to find it, and there's so much action, so much nostalgia. There's a love story in there, which is really sweet, because it's like they kind of graze upon when you fall in love with somebody on the internet, is it real?
Here's what I was wondering, because you were saying how you did get emotional.
I was at work and I started crying.
So I was thinking about that, because I love reading stories out loud, and I always have. So I thought, I do think that I would be really good at something like that. But what happens, when there is a part that you do get emotional at, like, you can't, as the narrator of this book, you can't get emotional. So it's like, do they read it like 4 or 5 times out loud just to make sure that you know, or
I mean,
just
they
that
have
one
to read
part
it
over
a few
and over.
times in order
Of
to
course.
not stumble. Plus,
Right.
it's not all one take.
Right.
Like Kevin Smith for his audiobook kind of explained.
Oh no, I
that
don't
it's
see
not.
how you
It's not all one
could.
take. Plus, it's like 20 hours of a book
Yeah.
or whatever.
Well, if you're looking
Yeah.
like you're listening to Neil Gaiman read American Gods right now, like
Oh, it's not just
or-
him though. It's different.
oh
it's
right, right, the
cat,
different
yeah.
characters in cast,
But I did
which
listen
is
to
awesome.
him read The Ocean at the End of the Lane, and which is really interesting to hear the author do that.
No, but my point being is like that's a humongous book. If they just sat there and tried to do that all in
But
one day,
The fucking
Oh my
Game
God.
of Thrones books. They're
Yeah.
they're just as big, each of them, and they're
Yeah.
all read by somebody.
in
now-
one day.
No, not in one day. No, I mean, but they're
No, that's
too
what I was
huge to
saying.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the. Well, I mean, and it's becoming more prominent now, as opposed to 20 years ago, book on tape. They read it with the correct emotion and inflection,
Yeah.
and the quiet points get quiet
Yeah.
points, and then the character. Like,
Oh, I love that
Will Wheaton
stuff.
didn't have too many. Like, you could tell the difference in characters, but he didn't make an effort,
Sure.
like, to make different
And he
voices.
shouldn't have to
He shouldn't
every
have
time.
to,
No.
He did a great job, though. And during that scene, he was reading it, and I don't know how many times he had to read it before.
I don't
but
know
I
how-
still felt it.
Yeah, I don't know how much I'd enjoy listening to an audiobook where that person that's reading it comes up with different voices from
It depends
the
on how
characters.
good they are.
Well, it would remind me too much of like I don't know, like The Hobbit on vinyl or something, where it's like, yes, each individual character had their own voice, but it would remind me too much of like a kid's storybook thing.
It's
I
more
think.
like to separate, like,
I can see
somebody's
how
having a
American Gods
conversation.
is going to work,
Yeah.
just because that's a very adult book and they have to have adults.
Oh, there's so many
you know?
characters in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool.
But Ready Player One was a fantastic read. If you're a
I'm
nerd,
so
just
excited.
please read it.
So
If you
excited.
even the audiobook, the audiobook was fantastic, and I'd like to go back and actually read the book. But the audiobook was definitely a great listen.
Yeah,
and it was
you're
a great
so lucky
story.
that you get to do that stuff. I wish I could. Like, I wish I had the time. I love my job, but like you tell me all these great things, these great podcasts that you've listened to, and this book was so amazing. It's like, oh my god, I'm lucky if I get to sit down for like 30 minutes and read a book.
Well, it's like the one thing about my job that's
Yeah,
okay. It's
yeah.
like I'm doing all this horrible fucking labor and just all of this running around, but I don't have to necessarily talk to too many people, and
Right.
so I can just sit there with my headphones in and
Yeah.
do my job,
Yeah.
and actually enjoy a part of my day.
That's what was
So-
nice about working outside this last week. It was at the softball games. It was just like all I did was just listen to music, and I heard some excellent new music, and it was very enjoyable.
Yeah.
I should have had Ready Player One
There's
on, man.
something. Well, yeah, but you still have to talk to people,
Right.
And honestly, I can kind of zone out and do my job.
Yeah.
And having to pay attention to something else, and that there were
Right.
points when I actually had to pause and rewind because
Yeah.
I lost track.
Yeah.
On certain.
Oh,
books.
sure. Well, yeah. It's just like any like the Hemlock Grove that we're watching.
Yeah.
We had to rewind that one part because we were too focused on our podcast
Yeah, we were
to
taking
see a really
notes and
awesome
such.
part. But that's one we are.
So yeah, I've consumed a lot of pretty good media in the last.
I think you have.
Few days.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna skip ahead a little bit, but in terms of video games,
Yeah. I'm gonna start playing Destiny on
we got
Thursday.
Destiny on Thursday, the
Yeah.
beta, which should be pretty fucking awesome.
I know. I'm so excited.
See, now it's going to be interesting having it side by side because you're playing it on the PS3
and you're on the floor.
and I'll be on the PS4.
Right.
The flip side of that is that we don't get to play together, which kind of sucks.
That's okay though.
But at the same time, it'll let us see the differences, and it'll also give you because I
Yeah.
want you to love that game.
Oh,
I think you
will
will
love that game.
It's
Are you
very
kidding me?
much Borderlands by way of
What was,
Halo.
What was the video game that it was the trailer for the video game that was so fucking crazy. It was like it had like an elf we were watching that, right?
What?
Where it was like elvish characters, like a fantasy.
Oh, that's the new game from Gearbox Software.
Yeah.
It's called oh gosh. Here, keep talking. Explain it.
Well, what I remember, it had elements of like your fantasy characters, and then it had like
It
these
starts with
cool
a D.
steampunk characters in it.
Bloodborne is the name of it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I actually
it
heard
had a
somebody...
very like that Borderlands feel to it a little bit. Oh man, though, but it looked good, and you had like these characters that were massive, and they had these different weapons. Like it wasn't just related to like fantasy. You didn't, you could have like huge, massive like laser guns or regular guns.
Battleborn.
Or Archie,
Battleborn is what it's called.
Yeah, you had your archer, and it was so fucking cool. It looked so cool.
Somebody on the podcast was like, "Oh, it looks like a great game, but that title is terrible." I didn't think the title was terrible. Battleborn is a little generic.
Well, you didn't remember it.
Yeah, it's true. It's not like Borderlands or something like that.
No.
The thing I did learn about the game is it's kind of their take without leaving, without making Borderlands something it's not. It's their take on MOBA games. And a MOBA game is like League of Legends or something. It's a multiplayer online battle arena. And that means that it's a player versus player, essentially. So that's the one thing I'm kind of wary of in terms of you like latching onto this game, because it looks really great, but it's all player versus player driven. It's all like versus, which you might even be into yourself.
Is it all online? But you said it's not all online.
It is all online.
Destiny?
No.
Battleborn.
Forgot the fucking title again.
Okay, that's interesting.
So it's like Borderlands, only instead of...
And I wouldn't mind that so much if you could find cool people to play with.
Yeah.
My main issue with playing online games is that people just turn into assholes a lot of the time, and it's like, all you want to do is play the game and fucking play off of each other and build each other's character, and so many people get annoyed that...
Yeah, we'll make a game so much better. Yeah,
group on Warframe.
That's what Warframe is like. Half the reason I get on, it's a great game. I played it on PC and then PS4. It's essentially the only game I really play consistently. The group of people that I found is so great to play with, and it's like, and now they kind of introduced me into some of the elite speak, where it's like, oh, you don't play with randoms,
right?
Because they're like random people.
And I have heard
idiots.
You complain about randoms.
Yeah,
before.
I have gone on there and been like, oh, well, you guys are freaking jerks.
Randoms.
I do,
but they are jerks, and that's what sucks. And when you find a good group of people to play with, that makes all the difference in the world.
See, that's where Destiny, kind of like, it's that middle ground, because it is essentially a massively multiplayer online game,
right?
Built within a first-person shooter, and you can heads off the douchebag quota or factor, because you're playing the majority of it by yourself or with a group, that you choose, but then you kind of stumble into like these massive situations with multiple people that you don't like. They're optional. Like, yes, you're playing your own thing, but then you're in this huge battle or this mission with a bunch of other people, and you go through that, and then on the other end you go back into your game. You can do player versus player, like your traditional team deathmatch or whatever, but it's like way over here. If you want to do that, you do that. But otherwise, it's like the massively multiplayer game without the hassle.
I think the bigger question here is why do you online gamers that are assholes have to be assholes?
That is a good question.
Like, seriously.
It comes down to, like, if you're a douchebag in real life, you're going to be a douchebag online.
They came out of the woodwork in Grand Theft Auto 5. Oh, my God. Fuck, man.
Oh, yeah. That's awful. And it's weird because...
That's like the hood rat fucking version of online gaming.
Huge world, and then they put, 15 people in this world, and then, like, a couple idiots can ruin the whole thing.
And I stopped playing it because it's like, I could stoop to their level and become an asshole player and fucking kill somebody right on spot, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to spend the entire time doing that.
Why do it?
Yeah. Why do it? So you can get a couple bucks? Okay, great. Yeah, it just, that really annoys. That's why women need to come more in and, like, start playing more and more, because they are fun, ladies. You just need to get in there.
Then I'm going to be started on the what am I looking for? Not racism, but the people who, when they come across a female playing a game, and they immediately jump all over them, and they're like, and not even in a positive way, but in a negative way. They're like, oh, what the fuck are you doing in my game? Or, why are you doing it? It's like, Why are you playing
Well, it's like one of the last battles I played with this guy on Grand Theft Auto. Like, we won. We were the last two standing, and I killed plenty of people, not as many as him. But then he has to then he has to send me a message saying, "You are the worst player." Like, what the fuck? It's like, fuck you, dude. Fuck you. Like, what? Why?
It's like, why did you even put the effort into doing that?
Yeah. Why? Yeah. It's like, fine. But you know, at the same time, if those people are taking that aggression out in virtual reality rather than reality, I guess it's a good trade off. But
so
just come on, learn to be nice.
I'm excited to get you into Destiny. It's one of my 3 games this Hollywood this holiday
season.
That I'm really excited about. Like, there's a few downloadable games, but
I'm excited about the white PS4 that's going to be comboed with Destiny.
Yeah,
that's going to be my
you still
Christmas
planning on
present.
Getting that?
Fuck yes.
Okay.
You're planning on getting it for me for my Christmas present.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's supposed to be that.
Destiny's one of them for me. The other game that I want to get that actually has some I wanted to bring it up controversy around it is Alien Isolation.
Oh yeah.
Which I've been done wrong by some Alien games.
Let me ask you
something.
something. Alien Isolation, is that the game that you played? Is that the one that you were all excited about? The most recent Alien game?
What do you mean?
Alien Isolation.
I've never played it. It hasn't come out yet.
That's what I was wondering. Because I thought that it had been like they had brought the whole cast in there to just redo last game. I wasn't sure exactly.
The last game was Alien Colonial Marines, and that was last year. It was done by Gearbox actually, who was there's a whole thing surrounding it.
Yeah.
I pre-ordered it, prepaid for it actually, and then I canceled it because it was supposed to be awful, and it was awful.
It got horrible reviews across
the board. Just was awful. There became a whole meme actually where it was talking about how terrible.
Didn't you play it PC or something? Like,
no, I never even tried it. I was going to, but then
maybe it was just the live gameplay that we were watching.
But it's supposed to be. It was awful, and so that's what I mean by I've been done wrong by some Alien games.
Right.
In recent memory, this one is looking, and by all accounts, will restore my faith in the franchise for games. It looks fantastic. It's survival horror. It looks great. It comes out in October, so Destiny comes out September, and then Alien Isolation comes out October 7th. So that's about a month later. It looks fantastic. Now, the thing I bring up is that they've revealed some pre-order bonuses where they brought in the whole, like you said, the whole original cast to basically do these 2 extra chapters for the game. They're downloadable content chapters where you get to play on the Nostromo, the scene of the original movie. Because this Isolation is essentially a sequel to the original movie. Amanda Ripley.
Oh, it's a sequel to the original movie.
Yeah, Amanda Ripley is going to find out what happened to her mother.
Okay.
Like why, and that's about all we know really about the story.
That's kind of cool. That's actually kind of cool.
Because she did have a daughter in the lore of the movies and everything, and it looks great. Now the DLC, it looks even crazier because you get to play through entire sections of the original movie, and it's great bonus downloadable content in my opinion. The problem is that it's when they revealed it, they announced that it was pre-order downloadable content. So if you did not, essentially, if you didn't pre-order the game, you would not experience this. And people were like, "Oh my god." You know, like, you're forcing us to go to GameStop and get this game, otherwise we don't get to experience the whole product.
Right.
Well, they came out, like, a day later, not even that, and said, well, you know what? No. You guys are you can get this too, for a price, down the line. We're gonna make it available, and you can buy it. If you pre-order the game, you get it earlier and free.
Right.
So there's that. So and I don't mind that kind of thing where it's like, well, I'm really excited, so I can get an in on this.
Yeah.
And, so the reason they do pre-order bonuses it's an incentive
Sure.
so they can get a gauge at how much
It's
the game's going to sell.
Yes.
So they're like, well,
Makes
we want to
complete
know,
sense.
so
Yeah.
we're investing all this, so you can get this as long as you know, show your commitment or whatever. There are games that do this well like that, and then there are games that are they do it shitty, like say Watch Dogs. They have this crazy chart graph thing on Wikipedia about the pre-order bonuses for Watch Dogs. There's like 7 different SKUs for the game, 7 different types of packages for the game. Across
I remember you talking about
20
this.
retailers, and every single one gets a different one.
Like
and,
if you buy it at Target, you get this, and if you buy it here, you get this.
They did like an addition. Like if you wanted all of the DLC for this game, you'd have to spend like $4,000.
Oh my god, how fucking stupid! Like really,
you have to buy it from each individual retailer or whatever.
God, how dumb.
It's ridiculous.
And then you have like South Park Wars, where it's not just about buying the PS3 or the PS4. It's about now you got to buy it from here.
Well, that's also a thing. Is that some games are like Call of Duty does this consistently because their Xbox pays them.
Okay.
They're like, hey, release your DLC on our platform first.
Right.
And it's all become kind of timed. Like originally it was exclusive. They call it exclusive.
Right.
But it's really timed exclusive. It's like down the line, yes, you will get this
eventually
on your platform. But Xbox gets it first.
Right.
So, hey, if you want to play this stuff first...
Well, and they have that contract,
Xbox,
and I get that type of stuff. Like, Minecraft was exclusive to Xbox for the longest time, and then it got released. I do understand contracts like that, because it is guaranteed money for the creator of the game, and it's guaranteed money for the platform that it's exclusive on. It does suck for those of us who hate fucking Xbox, but what do you do? Really. I did just find something that is actually really exciting to me. It was posted March 5th of 2014. Doctor Who Lego. I thought they were going to do a game. Okay.
Oh, a Doctor Who Lego game?
Wouldn't that be
awesome.
Fucking awesome? That's what I thought it was. Yeah.
Telltale Games could totally do that.
Oh, man, it would be amazing.
You get to fly the TARDIS. And,
yeah.
so cool.
Like go through space. Oh, man, Lego, you need to do something like that.
Lego, I think they approved well after this, because I remember when it was through the Kuso, which is now Lego Ideas, the site, and you can go on there and people submit.
Oh yeah,
ideas.
because you just had that one.
Yeah,
you supported
the robot,
that one. Yeah.
I support a bunch of them. One of which is a Batman animated series styled Batmobile, which you should go on and support because it needs more votes. But in any case, they had the Doctor Who, and somebody submitted. Well, tons of people submitted Lego ideas, and one of them got through. And supposedly it's in production, so I don't know.
Oh, well, that's awesome. I think.
Doctor Who's
going
not
back to that,
represented nearly
obviously
enough in
we
video
need
games.
Doctor Who Legos. That's obviously a thing. But to have a Doctor Who Lego game, that could put. I mean, Doctor Who video games historically are bad. They're not good.
They're not super great. I have one on
even
my,
though they could
Vita.
make such an awesome fucking game. Like, oh my god, what is their problem?
It's
Why
all
doesn't
about
anybody
money.
get on this?
They just need to take the property
Kickstarter or something.
and hand it to a good company, and it'll make money.
It's just
but again, it goes back
annoying.
to the there's lots of Doctor Who's as big as it's ever been now, and they were like, well, I don't know if there's a market for a movie.
Dude,
and then they put some of the finales on the big screen, and oh wow, they made money.
Yeah.
No shit.
But I'm just thinking, like, video game, like, it's such a simple concept. You have an unlimited universe to where you as the Time Lord or you as his sidekick can travel to different planets and meet different people, and you have different problems to solve for these planets, just
That'd
like
be
the
awesome.
Doctor
You know
did.
what? It's like a Doki Doki universe.
Yeah,
but with the Doctor.
But with the Doctor, not
you have to
animated
figure
like
out
that.
how to solve their problems and stuff
By relating to them and
instead
finding
of
out how they act,
flying
and who
your
they
pig
are.
around, you fly the TARDIS to the different planets or different times.
Why hasn't somebody thought of this?
Oh, it's all about
I'm gonna copyright
money.
this idea, and
Unfortunately, you don't own the copyright to Doctor Who.
I don't care. I'm going to start a Kickstarter for it.
Kickstarter, man. I have all these weird Kickstarter stories.
They really do. Hey, do you want to hear some Florida news?
Yes.
I got some Florida news for us. Just not that much, though. Florida's been kind of off the radar lately. They're probably a little embarrassed about things. Let's see here. I created a new tab for Florida.
We're into Kristen's Excel spreadsheet of awesome, by the way.
All right. So 2 stories. The first one, which came out, I think it was like June 24th or something. It's been a while since we've done this. This woman. So basically kind of my fucking hero to a point. She was completely driving drunk, recklessly, like wrong way down a one-way, crashed a second time, and the cops didn't even catch her until the second time she crashed. You know, so she was actually getting away with it for a while. But she just like was an idiot. She had pot on her. The cops took it from her, right?
The pot's not legal in Florida, right?
No.
Okay.
They took it from her. And they're just driving along, like how dumb Florida cops probably do. Oh, I can't find the pot. Where's the pot? They look back. This woman had somehow gotten out of her handcuffs, grabbed the pot from the cops without them noticing, and ate the fucking bag of pot.
Well, that says something about the cops themselves.
They
in
said
Florida.
that they saw just crumbs all over her face and stuff. And the only thing I could think of was, I bet the schnozberries tasted like schnozberries.
That's awesome.
Oh, man, it was so funny.
No,
and she actually looks
charge.
semi-normal. Well, see, I think that's why she did it. I don't know. I mean, she's
like
awaiting
if you consume
trial.
it all, like, yes, you're you get in trouble for being under the influence, but can you get in trouble for possession
Well,
if you
it's
no
like
longer
you could
possess
just
it? They have no
say,
evidence.
yeah, you could just say, I don't know what they're fucking talking about. What the fuck are they talking
they have
about?
no
Pot.
evidence. Any
me a
lawyer
break.
could get around that.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
exactly.
That's
So that was
awesome.
pretty
The
hilarious.
schnozberries. She's a fucking ninja. If she can't, she's swerving around a car, but she can ninja her weed away from the fucking cop. I gotta wonder about
I'm
those
just
cops
so
in Florida.
confused about that. Like,
I
don't
bet she's
they
like
have
police
barriers
academy.
and shit?
That's how they train their cops in
Don't
Florida.
you have
is
a
they just show 'em
barrier? Like,
police
how
academy.
does she grab the pot from the front of the cop? That just baffles me too. I don't even know. Maybe Florida cop cars are like, they're like mopeds or something. I don't know.
They all drive segways around.
Yeah.
Bad boys.
So that was pretty entertaining, hilariousness. But then, of course, in Florida, in true fashion, comes back with this woman left her dog in the hot car while she was going to Walmart.
Yeah.
The dog died, unfortunately. The big kicker about this whole story, though, is that she had been shopping in Walmart for 13 hours. Yeah. So she left her dog in a hot fucking car for 13 fucking hours. Which begs the question, what the fuck do you do in a Walmart for 13 hours? Like, what constitutes
She
that?
couldn't decide between Kellogg's Corn Pops and Fruity Pebbles.
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap! I can actually I actually have a little story for that. I used to be a security guard at Target.
Oh, yes, you did.
And we had this customer come in, and she looked pretty methy, I should say. She came in our store like an hour after the beginning of my shift, and we watched her for hours, like a couple hours, going around filling these like 3 carts, and then she started bringing her carts up to the front and leaving them there, and then going back to fill up more carts with things that she really wanted. She had a gift. She kept on holding up this gift card, saying, "I got a gift card for my birthday. I got a gift card for my birthday."
Oh God!
I'll be back for the. Yeah, I got with this gift card from. It's my birthday. It's my birthday, and so she went back, and we finally were like, "Can we?" To my supervisor, "Can we please get her out of here? She's not going to buy anything." And we got her. You know, it's like, "Is there anything that you're actually going to purchase?" She's like, "Oh, I'm going to get this." She started separating out another cart, and it's like, how much money do you have on this gift card?
Yeah.
And it was something like $25. She had three carts worth of jewelry and electronics and clothing all in this cart. And we finally, I think we had a cop come to escort her out. Well, she started wigging out, you know, and she's like right there and freaking out.
Yeah.
All the customers were looking around. We were closing at that point because she'd been there so long. And they ended up arresting her because she was out of her mind.
Oh my God.
And she'd been walking around for like maybe it wasn't 8 straight hours. It was at least
several
4.
hours.
It was at least 4, so maybe it wasn't right after I got in, but it was several hours.
Yeah.
And they ended up arresting her, and I felt so bad for the associate that had to like do the go backs for that shit.
Oh God, yes.
But this woman was insane. It's like you just walk into a store, and the influx of employees and stuff that kind of just come in and out.
Right.
You don't necessarily pay attention to everybody that's in the store.
Right.
Especially if you're going to leave before they do.
Right.
And it's like just a melting pot of crazy people that walk into these big department stores now. It's 13 hours.
And I'm sure
really?
Walmart
Who spends
is even
13
worse.
hours at a fucking Walmart?
Crazy Walmart people do.
Florida. Because Florida. It's just awesome.
Yeah, so that was interesting, I thought.
Man, that state.
Gotta love Florida.
Everything I hear about that state.
So you wanted to talk about my my Excel thing. I don't know what you...
I mean, that was essentially from... It's like your random...
Oh, I thought you actually
stuff.
wanted to specifically talk about it.
No, I just was making that as a
babe,
segment,
I know it's amazing, but it's not that amazing.
Your Excel spreadsheet it is pretty amazing, and it's really, really interesting. No, I just wanted it to be kind of a segment... because you get all sorts of weird and interesting news that I don't necessarily pay attention to. I'm kind of focused in my game nerd comic book crap, and you're like you come in and you cleanse the palate with your interesting news.
I like to read that. That's the reading that I do. You get to listen to awesome books. I get to read news stories because they're not long.
I want to make that into a segment to kind of break up the nerd crap.
I did have a kind of on the opposite side of trashy people. And I can really kind of empathize with this story a little bit. Not that I've ever had a Mercedes or ever planned to have a Mercedes. But this woman goes into, well, first of all, her background. She, her and her husband had a lot of money. They made a lot of money, before the crash happened. And, saved up their money, paid off a Mercedes, and then lost a bunch of money, and so they had to go on food stamps. And she ended up she drove her Mercedes to go pick up her food stamps, and people went ballistic. Like, how dare you come in here with that while we're struggling and blah, 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 blah. You should have sold that car or whatever. That's basically what these people are saying. And a lot of general opinion, even after the whole article was read, is that she should have done that. But, like, she's trying to say, like, listen, this is paid off. It's been kept up. Why would I, sell it?
Mode of transportation.
Yeah, why would I sell it for a less reliable vehicle just so that I can get a few bucks, off of it? It's not like it's even new. It's a 2008. Or 2003 Mercedes.
And how long before that did they... Oh, yeah, okay, so 2003.
So it's 2003.
It took him 10 years to pay it off.
Well, no, it's been paid off. They paid it for it in cash originally.
Oh,
so it's something that they're, that they just decided to keep. They cut down on everything else.
You lose everything else. The car, it's like the one thing you can't have taken away from you.
Even that, I mean, yeah, she could have sold it and gotten like a Kia, but why? And it's like, and not only that, and I kind of had to look at it from another aspect of like, dude, you know what? When your life goes that shitty, I mean, I don't know what they did to earn their money. They might not have been the most honest people in earning their money. I have no clue who those people are. But regardless, when you're used to a certain way of life and you lose it all, you've got to have something that keeps your spirits up.
Yeah.
Something, And if a 2003 Mercedes is what's going to do it, then... yeah, you have every right to keep that shit. I just thought it was really funny, people's reactions. Even the commenters' reactions, like, oh, well, that's
the commenters, man, on Gawker sites are just, it's like the dregs of the world.
A lot of them are funny, but, like...
When I came to Colorado, I didn't, all of my stuff, I lived out of a storage unit, essentially, and then I moved into, I rented a room, and... yeah. So I didn't have a whole lot going on for me, but you know what I did have? I had my TV and my game systems,
like,
and that's what, like, you could say that I could have sold that stuff for, and done what, not enjoyed my life and just sat there and be like, oh look, we've got another month's rent or whatever. But no, I had my my nice stuff.
Yeah.
And that's my stuff, you know?
You can't
It's
let
like,
go of those things that keep you sane. Obviously, you do have to let go of some of
and
them.
then they have it's their car, it's their transportation, it's a good car, too.
Yeah.
And so it's like, why not keep this is the thing that could potentially get you to another job.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
or get you a really good job because of how it looks, you know.
It's like, sorry that I'm using
there
this.
Are many
that goes
people,
back to the public assistance, though. It's like people who, the people who were probably freaking out were probably the people who live off public assistance,
exactly,
and are like their whole lives. They're like, oh, I don't have anything to show for it.
Yeah.
Well, it's like public assistance. The whole point of it is that it gets you to the. It gets you through.
Exactly. It's just
it
like,
helps.
And I had always told myself that I would never receive public assistance. Well, I did end up needing it. You know, we really did need it, and we used it, and it was good to have the food stamps. And now we don't really need it anymore.
Yeah, and so we stop.
So you stop. You don't just keep on fucking abusing the system, and that's the problem. It's like
now,
so many people abuse the system. On public assistance the whole time. Well, see, what I think is so dumb is that those are the people. Well, yeah, or Escalades and shit. It's like that's what I don't understand, because I hate to like stereotype or just generalize, but I've known people who intentionally don't make more money just so they can stay on their public assistance, and they say that. The first time I ever heard that, I was flabbergasted. Like, what? Like, why would and this is at a sales job. I've worked in sales jobs my whole adult working career. It's like you choose to work at a sales job that gives you commission, but heaven forbid you make over a certain amount, because then you lose your assistance. Like, well, isn't that it doesn't make any sense. No, so I just thought that story was it's pretty ridiculous. People need to empathize, because even there's
you don't
people
know.
Some of my friends on Facebook are just like, I don't want to.
But you don't know what that person's life is like.
Don't.
You can't judge them, and
you can't generalize. And yes, unfortunately, there are a lot of people who have like taken advantage of the system and made it bad. But there are those other people out there that actually have goals in life that, they might need it for a second.
They use it as a tool.
Yeah, they use it as a tool. And which, those people have more right to it, in my opinion, than those other people. Yeah, absolutely. I just,
Instead of popping out another kid, so
I've never gotten unemployment.
More child support, more assistance.
Not once have I gotten unemployment. I've paid into it my entire life almost, but not once have I taken advantage of it. So I'd rather that money go to fucking people like that than other people.
I wanted to wrap up this because we are a podcast for a comic book store that will eventually open. I wanted to wrap up this podcast with a few bits of comic news.
I wanted to talk about this too.
I wanted to open with this. I'm not going to go into too much depth into it, but Archie Comics.
Yes.
Now, everybody knows them for their kid friendly books and everything, and their name alone.
They're
Archie,
getting deep. Archie.
They do other stuff. Like they've been around as long as Marvel and DC. Mm-hmm. And so now that what they're doing is to kind of grab more of the market, is they're bringing out not necessarily adult oriented comics, but comic books that everybody can read. They're not necessarily serious. They're like superhero comics,
right? But
their content isn't what interested me. It's the way that they're presenting these series. It's like mini-series. They'll take a character and they bring it out for like 5 to 10 issue arcs, and then it's done. Right. And then they might come back to it later, but the series is, for all intents and purposes, it's done. And so instead of having to follow like 236 issues of history like Walking Dead, they're 100 and something. They're like almost 200 issues into their run.
Yes,
it's like daunting to try and jump into something like that. It
is, yeah. No, I think it's a fantastic business move for any business really that's trying to, sell a product. Like, yes, see what is popular, see what isn't, do it in those little bits, and go from there. They're going to build that company up amazingly, I'm sure.
And from the business standpoint, again, what this means in terms of printing is that you can get a trade paperback of a run of Batman comics, let's say. Right. Every comic book company does this, and they release like usually part of a story arc or an entire story arc, which is a collected like 5 to 10 issues into this book that then they sell for like $20.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, what this means for Archie Comics is that they can put these out more often and sell more of them and make a profit.
Yep.
As opposed to like, you know, be like, well, this is the entire story of this.
Yep.
So you can buy this and be done with it. And you're, you know, it's like buying a movie.
Sure.
Only you're buying this book. As opposed to like, I go out and try and start the new 52 of Superman. They're 32 issues in.
Yeah.
And each trade paperback is like 5 issues.
Yeah.
And some of those aren't entire story arcs.
Yep.
And it's like, well, I got to buy, you know, 5 of those in order to get current.
Yeah.
Whereas you can go and buy one of these trades.
And stay current.
And be like, okay, well, I just read the story.
You know what I do love about Archie, the actual comic book that is done through Archie Comics, is how... Because I read Archie when I was a kid. I had tons of those books.
I did not.
I did. And it was, you know, thinking back on it now, it was a very, like, cliche 50s type of, you know...
But there was a lot of social commentary.
There was, too. There was, yes. But I love how it's progressed into, you know, Archie taking a bullet for his gay friend and, you know, the LGBT friendly and everything. It's just awesome. And not an Afterlife Archie, that's hilarious.
Yeah, and apparently
they really
delve
have,
into
like,
like some of the more serious notes in that too.
I read this article on how Microsoft is going to be laying off probably like close to 6,000 of its employees here soon.
Oh yeah.
Because I think it was the CEO or somebody is just kind of restructuring the whole entire company.
And they do that every few years anyway.
Right, they did it back in 2009 was the last time they laid off like 5,800 people or something, and that shit needs to be done every once in a while. Microsoft I haven't been that happy with lately, in terms of like...
I used to be a fanboy
their console.
And they lost me.
Yeah, it's just... When people get too old, it's just like on fucking Planet of the Apes, like... Or was that... What were we watching where it's like you can't trust what anybody says over 30, like over 30? Yeah, it was Planet of the Apes where he's like... you know, you got to keep things new. You know, you can't trust anybody over 30 and what they say because they're just into the old way of thinking type of thing. It's...
Oh, you're talking about...
the original Planet of the Apes,
okay.
He said that in. Yeah, when he was leaving them. And
Cornelius.
Yeah. And he's like, okay, man. He's like, you can go with me. And the guy's like, no, they can't get us with treason anyway because you proved our innocence by the cave and stuff. Well, then he ended up trying to do that, but... he's like, well, just keep in mind, don't trust what anybody says if they're over 30 because they're just in that old way of thinking.
Yeah, they're not going to
I'm
reset
over 30
their ways.
and I'd like to think of myself as having a progressive mind, but I get what they're saying, and I love how they've just progressed with time, and I think it's great.
Yeah,
like, if every company did that, man, we'd be a lot better off.
And Archie's been around for ever, and it's
since the 50s,
and it's their willingness to change.
Yeah,
that's and other companies are kind of doing that. They're not shying away from it so much anymore. They need to go with the times.
Yeah.
DC's released their new Batgirl redesign.
I think she is awesome.
It starts in issue number 35. New redesign, and you got in a pretty heated debate with this other chick. But it looks great. It looks fun. It looks new. It looks interesting.
She is a typical, like, Seattleite. Mid-20s Seattleite, in my opinion. She's not trying to impress anybody. It looks like she's going to do her own thing, which I think is great.
Yeah, it looks
but
like
just the general opinion
series.
on it's just like looking at people's comments on that. You know, okay, yes, I get you like the tits and ass, and I get, you know, fine, whatever. That's part of the thrill of the comic book world, is that you have these unrealistic expectations for women, and they're lived up to in comic books a lot of the time. But yeah, just people's reactions were funny, and then this woman had to start getting involved with me, talking to me like I was a child, like I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to comic books and how my daughter shouldn't be reading those anyway, which was not even the point that I was making. Yeah,
because people grew up reading these like I did, and yes, if they present you with adult situations and stuff, like what's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with it, and that's what I even said. Because again, not the original point I was making, but I was like, I'm not going to stop her from reading it. Like, Jesus, if she wants to take an interest in it, let her. She sees sex. Oh my God! Are you kidding me? Sex is a thing.
There's no like outright.
No, there's not like insertion.
It's a DC comic still.
It's not.
It's like watching a PG-13 movie.
God, people.
You know, it's like.
It's just people have to be opinionated.
Those.
It's just that it's the geek snob thing coming through where
it's also attention as well.
It is. Oh yeah,
because you were feeding the lion.
Yeah, and I stopped, but she kept on saying stuff.
But on the flip side of that, the fan support has been amazing for this new people, and I hope DC goes, oh hey, you know, it's like on the flip side of the Teen Titans reveal, where they're showing the Teen Titans, and one of the characters she's supposed to be like 15 to 16, and she's all tits and ass.
Right. I know.
I didn't even see it like that. I didn't see a negative, you know, because it's not like she was like revealing too much, but yes, she was very voluptuous.
Yes.
But DC's releasing this character, and people are going nuts about it. Fan support everywhere.
Because
there's a whole new Tumblr that I follow on the Forbidden Planet Twitter. I follow the artists and writers of the new Batgirl, and they keep on tweeting out these people's work. That they're doing, and it looks fantastic. And it
people
looks
already
fun.
Starting to cosplay on it and stuff.
Oh yeah, they cosplayed the day it was released. Like people are starting to build the costumes.
That's really cool. And whether I will or will not read the comic,
I think I will.
Know,
I think I can. I'll start.
Yeah, you're
with
more
35.
into that stuff. That's fine.
I read. I'm trying to read. I get a good array of comic books.
I don't claim to know anything about these stories. I just am looking at it from a purely cosmetic standpoint. And speaking of tits and ass, I did see this article. This is probably what I'll end with, but saw this article on how to transform Barbie dolls into weeping angels for those Doctor Who
saw
fans
that, but
out
I didn't
there.
actually click on it.
No, I haven't clicked on it yet, but it's definitely something I'll try. You know me, I love to like try that shit all over the place.
It wouldn't be that hard if you think about it.
It wouldn't be. No, not at all. I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
If I find a project that I like, I'll eventually definitely do it.
For the store, we could have like a little Christmas display or something, and have weeping angels in the window.
Yeah, and the TARDIS that I made.
Yeah,
remember?
Or you can make another one.
Our topper.
Yeah. We have
that
tree
topper is
topper.
pretty fucking awesome.
Oh, it is. It lights up and everything. But that's going to be on our tree.
I don't know. I was thinking that we should have that in the house all year round, actually, like hanging in the window or something.
We could do that. Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that the other day.
It's fun to get crafty.
I like because it's unique, and you know, you put yourself into it, and that makes you appreciate it more.
People walk in the door and they look up at the tree and they go, "What is that?" And you go, "Oh, it's the TARDIS from such and such." "Oh, really? Wow, that's really neat. We built it ourselves."
Yeah,
we got a few people.
I just
who
like
asked.
that stuff.
Yeah,
I like doing that.
You did really well with that, and I helped a little bit, but it was mainly
I really like
yours.
to put myself into those projects. You know, I'm a perfectionist to a point, so.
Crafts is fun.
It is.
And with that, I think we will end this.
You've got to work
podcast.
tonight, unfortunately. I have to say goodbye to you in less than an hour. Oh, boo.
In like 30 minutes.
I know.
But we're gonna try and record this more regularly.
We'll try. We're not.
We have
promising
this episode,
anything.
and the bonus episode's going to go up
once summer ends. I think it'll be a lot easier, just because we're not going to be so hectic with our schedules. You know, we have a 5-person family, people. It's hard sometimes, but.
And we'll have more time. Well, not more time, but it'll be easier to work it in when we open the store, and I'm not working where I am, and so we'll try and get it. Anyways, so that was the Forbidden Planet podcast. You can get at us at forbiddenplanetcomics@gmail.com. You can like us on Facebook, Forbidden Planet Comics and More, MOAR, and at the tweets, Forbidden Plan 8. It's just Plan 8. It's at Forbidden Plan 8 on Twitter. We have that's actually up and coming. Like, we've got quite a few followers since I started that. And we post a lot of that stuff. We'll post from our Twitter to Facebook, or vice versa. So it's all one and the same. Get it our podcast at iTunes, Forbidden Planet, Spreaker, same difference. And Podomatic.
And thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks
Live,
for
love,
listening.
laugh.
Yep,
and have fun.
If you have any comments or questions, get at us through the means I just went over. Anyways, so
geek out with your tweaks out. Come on, let's just keep saying things. Okay,
oh
no,
my.
let's go.
All right.